So you want to start a podcast, but you have several questions on how to do it. Well, I have assembled a guest of experts, the king of podcasting, to help you to answer your questions. So grab your cup of coffee, huddle up. It's time for the huddle. Praise the Lord. Welcome to the Huddle. I'm your host, Walter Strong. If you're new here and you want to find your passion, unlock your potential, and discover God's purpose for your life, then I want to welcome you to the show. This morning, we're going to be talking about podcasting one-on-one. You've decided that, hey, Walter, listening to all your shows, I found my passion, and it's podcasting, but I need some help. Well, I've assembled the Avengers. I've assembled the kings of podcasting to be able to help you to be able to launch your podcasting. So let me just give these individuals a brief introduction. It's today's guests are the kings of podcasting. They each have their own show, the dynamic show that is unique, entertaining, and informative. I want to welcome to the huddle Mr. Ben Sudderth III, Mr. Will Walker, the U, Miami, Courtney Harden, and Mr. Hygh. Good morning, gentlemen. Welcome to the huddle.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Great
intro, man. Appreciate that intro. You need to get in the wrestling conversation.
Man. I might have to take that intro and just use that for my own thing.
I know, right?
I like that, man.
You know, I do, as Will say, I do watch wrestling. So when I used to watch
wrestling,
So when I used to watch my man Road Dogg from the Road Dogg from the new what were they called, Courtney? The new age outlaws.
Yes. Degeneration X. Yes. Oh yeah, I know all about that. Yes.
It's time to sucker. I got my wife and daughter in the room. Because you're like, what is wrong with this guy? But welcome, gentlemen. Just go ahead and go around the horn. I'm going to start with seniority, Mr. Will Walker, and let him introduce himself and his show. And we will go from Courtney to Al and to the godfather of podcasting radio, Mr. Ben Sudderth III.
Okay. I'm Will Walker. I've been doing podcasts since 2014. It's been a while. I can tell you, if you're going to start a podcast, make sure it's something you're passionate about. That's the main thing with podcasting. If you're looking to strike rich in podcasting, good luck, and I'll be interested to know what your secret is, because it takes time. You have to be passionate about it, and you have to understand that you are competing against so many podcasts out here, maybe even your same light content. So that's why I say you should be passionate about it. So Will's take on sports has been around since 2014, and now, trying to look into doing some things to where I can incorporate just not my ideas, but some other people's ideas, because my main thing is to try to get it to where we have our own podcasting site and not have to use someone else. So that's where I want to go with it.
All right. Welcome. Courtney.
Yeah. Courtney Harden. The podcast is called The Real Deal with Courtney Harden. I've been doing the same 2014 podcasting. And like Will said, it's all about, if you're passionate about it and being authentic, I think that's another thing. If you're authentic to your guests, or you're authentic to your fans, people will eat it up no matter what it is. And as you said, podcasting been around for a long time, and I've been doing it since 2014. I used to have a show called The Takeover. I had a co-host on that. I did that for years, And then I was writing, blogging, doing all that. And then I stepped away because I thought with podcasting, like so many of them, and I was like, okay, is my voice being heard? Is my voice being like this? So I got tired of it. Even though I love sports, I do love sports, love talking about it, love debating it, whatever. But then I just took a break. I said, I just need a break. So I took a break around like in 2018 and then took the whole year off, but I missed it. So then Ben, he stepped in because, you know, he had his network. He said, I was on his show a couple of times on mine, and he stepped in and said, you want to jump on, you know, my, you know, podcast network. And at that time, I was just searching around saying, do I want to do this again? But he kind of convinced me. He kind of kept pulling. And I was like, yeah, let me jump on. Because I said it was only right. Because we, like I said, we connected and always stayed in touch. So, and then now it's the real deal. I revamped it. And yeah, it's on BS3 Radio. So, yeah, like I said, be authentic, be passionate about it. And your voice will be heard. If you have a platform, your voice can be heard.
Yes.
All right. Mr. Al, welcome to the Huddle. Tell our viewers about your podcast show and a little about yourself.
All right, my name is Hygh. I've been in podcast business since 2019. Have a show called the Casual Highlight Podcast, where we educate, inform, and inspire while talking about sports. I've always wanted to do podcasting, but I never procrastinated and just waited. And then I was in grad school finishing out my PhD work, and I'm like, man, what could I do to change the world? What could I do different? Instead of just being like, I want to do something to like change the world. So I had a passion for sports, got into podcasting, linked up with Ben like right after the NBA finals in 2019. Started my show in August. And I could just piggyback off of what Courtney and Will said, man, you got to be passionate about it. I just want to change the world and just have conversation, man, highlighting others doing great things, not just sports. So, but still, you know, look at highlights every day, ESPN, Fox Sports, and those type of things. But definitely want to write your thoughts down, write your notes down, find your niche in the podcasting world. Find your niche, find what you enjoy talking about and doing, and bring it out there. It is a lot of people out there. Are you going to make money right away? No, you're not. But if you have it unique and you network and you talk to other people, man, your voice can be heard.
Perfect. Ben, go ahead and tell us about BS3 Radio and yourself.
Yeah, definitely. So I've been in podcasting since 2015. Interesting enough, a good friend of mine, Eric DeWalt, he's a part of BS3 Radio too. He has a show called Eagles versus Everybody. He invited me on his show one time to talk North Carolina football. Like, I'm probably in the minority of North Carolina football fans, besides the other 5 people that go to the games. But I came on the show, and I had my notes all out, and I was all nervous, and I was reading off the paper. And that's how I got started. And I told my wife after that, like, this is something I want to do forever until I can't talk anymore. And I just started doing the podcast, started it off in my closet. I always joke about that. Like I moved into the living room, so I'm still in my room. But I started off just wanting this to talk sports, and it's just evolved into different things, and I'm still talking about sports, but I just feel like there's so much other stuff to talk about that there's room for everybody, and there's room for me to talk about different things and not limit myself. And then BS3 Radio started to be about 2 years in August. And that was very instrumental. My wife was just like, hey, why don't you already been doing this. Why don't you start something and invite people to come with you? And I just thought maybe people wouldn't want to, maybe they wouldn't see the value in it. And it's grown. And all I've been really focused on is sharing what I know, sharing the different opportunities that you can monetize and make money. Like Will and like Courtney said, you're not going to necessarily make $1 million doing this because it's so saturated, but you can make some extra, pocket money. You can make some extra stuff that you can do to save and to do different things. So podcasting is a great avenue because it is free. Nobody's going to tell you what you can and cannot say. And then if you play music that's copyrighted, that's a whole other story. You can get in trouble for that. But you can talk about whatever you want. And that's why, I encourage people to start a podcast. It's about hitting start. It's about hitting record, and you can say what you want to say. You can start at whatever level. And I've talked to so many different people. Like, I don't have the equipment. I don't have that. You can start a podcast with your phone. If you have a smartphone, which 9 times out of 10 you do, you can start a podcast that way. And if you can talk about what you want. So that's kind of how BS3 got started. And just looking to continue to share what I know with other people.
All right, great. I'm glad you guys touched on just introducing yourselves and even touching on question 1, which was, sharing your passion and how you all got into podcasting. And to my YouTube viewers, just drop down in the chat and let me know where you're watching this from. And you may say, well, Walter, this is a little different from the content you normally do. But yes, but we're talking about passion. So we want you to share this video with someone that you do know who wants to get into podcasting. Maybe they were in the radio business and they felt like they were not as successful in the radio industry. And now maybe podcasting is something they've been wanting to do for a long time. So we want to encourage you to share this live stream. We want you to give us a thumbs up and also just, put your questions in the chat or in the comments when you're watching the replay so that we can have these gentlemen respond and answer any questions that you have. So let me start with you, Will. And question number 2 is, maybe you dealt with this and maybe others that may have dealt with it because you didn't. How did you overcome your fears to start podcasting? Because when I was a YouTuber, when I first starting on YouTube, it was like, man, hitting the button for the first time, and is anyone gonna watch this? Am I crazy, or am I is this something I should be doing?
I don't necessarily think I had a fear because I love to talk, so that wasn't my fear. My fear was being liked. I really wanted to be liked. I thought what I had to share was not so much informative, but I can make it entertaining. But it's my opinion. And quickly in the climate that we live in, your opinion becomes almost, like Ben said, saturated, or it becomes this division. And I couldn't understand that for a minute. And that was my fear. It was being liked. And I didn't get why my opinion was so divisive. It was like, okay, it's my opinion. That's all it is. It doesn't make it necessarily true. Don't make it false either. It's just my opinion. So that was my biggest fear, was being liked. And then when I didn't get liked, like Courtney, I took a break, man, because I couldn't handle that. Because I'm used to being a liked person. And when I didn't get the love, I was like, okay, I'm doing something wrong. But then someone sat me down and talked to me and said, you're not going to please everybody. And that's when it hit me and said, you know what? I love doing it. If you like it, you'll keep listening. If you don't, you'll keep on strolling. But that was my biggest fear, Walter, was not being liked.
Great point. Courtney?
Yeah, it was nervous in the beginning. I ain't gonna lie. I mean, and the thing is, I'm like, Will, I like to talk. I always like to be like, not just front and center, but I like to talk. I just like to have my opinion and I like to say, what I say. And that's how sometimes it is. But it was nervous because when you hit that button and that green light comes on, you're like, oh, I'm recording right now. And so when you start recording, then you start talking. But I think after the first show I did, and the nerves got out, and my wife, she always encouraged me too. She kept pushing me to keep doing it. And, I was like, okay, I got to get these reps up. So I think it was more of just getting reps and continuing to just keep practicing and keep, perfecting your craft and what you want to do. Because if you're passionate about this or you're authentic about it, it comes natural after that. So after all these years now, not nervous at all really now, but I think for the ones that want to start, it can be nervous, but once you keep practicing, keep those reps up, you will get better. And like I said, your voice will be heard. So, but it was, I agree with Will on this one too. I'm just trying to be light, trying to have fun. And just having when you have guests on too, allow them to tell their story, allow them to to do most of the talking. You ask the questions, you engage in the conversation. I like to have those light conversations, not always serious. Talk about how they started or what they got going on, their passion, and you allow them to, have that avenue, to have that platform to kind of just explain what they are like about. And that's what I like to hear. I like to hear other people's stories. So I think that's where the nerves came in when you were talking to other people. But if you're just having a conversation like what we're doing, it definitely comes natural.
Okay, great. Al, any fears that you had to overcome when you first started podcasting?
Oh, I had several. The biggest fear was being liked, because I had a lot of self-confidence issues, self-esteem issues. I'm like, man, and I'm more of an introvert per se. And so I was like, man, I don't know if these people are gonna like this show. Or am I being too liberal? Am I being too conservative? Am I about woke sports? Am I about this way or that way? And is my sound system, like, I was big with like perfection. I gotta have the right sound. I gotta have the right topics. I gotta have the right music. And then I just realized, I said, you know what? I just need to go in my closet, which I did. My first episode, went in my closet, and 12 minutes in, like I dropped my microphone in the middle of doing my show, and got up. I said, okay, oh man, I done messed this up. But I just kept going. I just kept speaking. I kept rolling and got it done. I think my first episode was about nearly 2 hours. And then and then I came back that next day and did another episode for about another hour, because I had so much stuff that I wanted to get off my chest and talk about, because I had grew up watching sports. Like sports was my coping mechanism growing up, because of some of the things that I went through mentally and personally in my life. So I just got on the mic and just started talking, and it just each episode got better. I had close friends of mine that I would talk to and ask their opinions about the show and the adjustments, listening to comments, just linking up with Ben, asking Ben questions, like, and just being easy and being calm. And it has gotten a lot better, man. Just hitting the microphone, and now I have like notes that I write down, and just kept it simple, and just became myself and just was comfortable. So the more episodes, if you mess up the first time and you drop the microphone in your closet, it's okay. You have plenty more episodes to go to, and you'll get better over time. I mean, I've gone from doing episodes on my iPad and stuff, iPad and my cell phone. Now I have a computer, I have lighting, I have a microphone, still looking to update. So like Ben said earlier, man, all you need is just a phone and earbuds in the closet, man, and just go from there. And you'll just get better and perfect it every time.
All right. Hey, great. I mean, and that's great advice and a great experience, even for us as YouTubers, because we kind of go through the same thing in recording that first video, starting that first live stream. I think when I did my first video, I went 40 minutes. I wanted to talk about men's health. And next thing you know, I'm doing a full 40-minute show on that health. Of course, you see the degrees behind me, but there are none. And someone said to me, it was good, but you got it out your system. Now keep going and work on it. And sometimes, like you said, dropping that mic that first time, hitting record that first time, and letting it just get out is what you need. Ben, I'm gonna pose the question to you this way. Your wife says, hey, start a radio show. How did you overcome the fear of starting a radio show when you got your ESPN, you got your Fox and all the big boys, and overcoming the fear of rejection of people saying, what?
Yeah. First off, I'll say this. I'm a pretty quiet person. Like,
what? Whoa. I watch your show all the time.
Believe it or not.
You what?
My wife says all the time, if you was doing a podcast, you would be talking more. She says that all the time. And like, if a little bit of background, I was really quiet. Besides the friends that I had. And once I did that one podcast with Eric, I was like, man, this is the one thing that I could really talk about just consistently and for an unlimited amount of time. Now, I was definitely scared because I didn't know people were going to listen. there was plenty of times where I did a podcast and I did all my stuff live. That's how I got started. I never really did anything pre-recorded. I just liked the live because you get the interaction. There was plenty of times I had zero interaction. I'm like, hey, all you guys tuning in out there, why don't you comment? And it's like zero. It's like crickets, no comments. Like my mom or my dad would comment or something. But it was like, you wonder, what am I doing with this? Are people listening? Then you start looking at the numbers. Like that's, you're like, oh, the numbers they're going up there. I mean, you like one episode, the first episode, I think I had like 300 listeners or something. And then from there on, it just gradually got worse because, people want to hear the first thing you do. As you do it more and more and more, people are like, oh, that's just his show that he does. So it became a thing. Like I was looking at the numbers all the time. And then I was just like, look, if people listen, they do. If they don't, they don't. I know what I'm an average. And I'm just going to be fine with that. And then I got into doing the live. That first live was video wise, was weird because I'm like trying to look at the camera. I'm always like one that's trying to share my show. I try to get it to as many people, as many avenues as possible. Mm-hmm. So I'm trying to manage that. So doing that first kind of StreamYard was really interesting. But I think there was definitely some nervousness and some fear. But now it's just like this is my lane. So I don't have that anymore. Now, if I'm on a show by myself and I'm trying to manage like a lot of stuff or doing a video and I'm trying to share the screen, like this last show, like somebody, normally you get subscribers. I lost a couple of subscribers on this one episode I did. Right. So I mean, like it continuously evolves. As you continue to go from one level to the next, that nervousness is gonna be there. And then once you get past it, you're like, okay, this is something I'm used to now.
Mm-hmm. And for those of you who can't make church on Sunday because of work commitments, even podcasting and YouTube can be a church experience for some individuals, which will remain nameless. And yes, doing YouTube and doing it live is. I keep a strong prayer life, but it keeps me on my knees even in the morning. Okay, Lord, I can't do this. I'm doing a panel show this morning. Now I'm trying to take it to another level. Please help me hit the right buttons and cue the right. So yes, it will help you to look within yourself and say, Lord, I need help. I need help to do this, and I need to be able to add value to each guest that comes on. And those of you who are watching this show this morning, if you're getting value out of what this discussion on podcasting, or even just being able to take podcasting into what you're doing, and you're saying, man, I need to punch fear in the face. I need to punch perfection in the face and just do this. Just put in the comment section or in the chat, #value. Let me ask you this question, Ben, and then we'll go around to the panel. I want to start a podcast show, but how do I know how long does it need to be and how should it be formatted? Because you have one-on-ones, like you said, there's interviews, there's panels. How do I start in timing and formatting aspect?
I mean, I would say first off, what works best for you? I mean, because there's podcasts that are 5 minutes long, but that 5 minutes gives you so much meat. Like you don't need 30 minutes. Now, so it depends. If you want to give a quick note, you can be 5, you can be 15, 30, you can go an hour. I think more than an hour, people start to really lose their attention spans unless they're maybe at work and listening. If it's live, it depends on what you want to do. My shows are 2 hours long, but they're live, and sometimes I have different guests and things of that nature. But people still do lose interest. I mean, it's natural. We are so like short. Our attention spans, a lot of us are so short that you just need sometimes a quick thing. So I think first off, you want to ask yourself what works best for you. What information are you trying to get out? Or is it just like you just, chatting it up with your friends, like whatever it is, kind of determine that. Then set a time, because you don't want to, I try not to go overtime, but you want to give your listeners a certain time and then decide if it's live or pre-recorded. That's a really big thing, because if it's pre-recorded, then you can talk for an hour, and you can chop that up into 15-minute segments if you want it. So I think it just determines on your style and your personality. But I do think you should set a time. I do think also, as far as format, you want to, if you're just starting, you want to have kind of like a pre-show. So like episode 0, some people do it where it's just basically you kind of saying, hey, this is what the show is about. And then the next week, drop an episode. Or if you're doing live, like I said, it depends. But give people kind of an appetizer of what they're going to get. And then you bring the real deal. And then from there on, you kind of go, see what I did there, Courtney?
I see that. You put on words. There you go.
Yeah.
Love
it. That's what I would say.
All right. Anyone want to add a little more to that question? Al, Courtney, Will?
Yeah, I will. I mean, I think, like Ben said, I think when you first start, I had someone ask me that same question before, and they were, they were on my show, and then they asked, like, I want to do this. I want to start my own podcast. Like, how long should it be? What's the format? And I told them, like, look, you just got to find what you like to do. Like, if you want to talk about this type of sport, you want to talk about this type of event or whatever it is, format to that. And that's what you're passionate about. Format to that. You do your research, have your points, and then you just go on from there. So I told her, like, look, all you need is all you need is a phone, your phone or a computer, a microphone, maybe headphones, and you hit record. Because there's so many formats that are free. StreamYard is free. So you could do that. You could do it right on StreamYard. It's free. I used to do it on Blog Talk Radio at the beginning. You got to pay for that. But as Ben said, if you just do an intro, your first show, if you want to just do an intro, introduce yourself. It could be 5-10 minutes. You introduce yourself, why you're doing this, and what the show is about. And that could be your first episode ever. And then you go on from there. You're like, okay, this show's gonna be about this. I'm gonna talk about this. I'm gonna talk about this next week, and this and this. And then you promote yourself too. I think that's another big thing you can definitely do. I think promotion is huge in podcasting because now we have so many avenues. Like when we started, I know when a couple of us had started in 2014, we had Facebook and stuff, but it wasn't, it was MySpace and things like that. So now you have YouTube, you have Facebook, you have Twitter, you have Instagram. You can format this. I mean, now you can do stuff on Zoom, you can do stuff on StreamYard. Zoom is free too for 40 minutes. So I think that's where you can format it that way and push it out too. So yeah, I think that's a big, huge thing. That's how it's how you start, how you format, and then you have your show.
Okay. Perfect. All right. So we got a couple of comments here. Make sure I get the comment here. We got here. Mr.
Shout out. That's one of my Reformation Church. We online church. Dr. Larry Reed. That's my we in care group together. Shout out to Cassandra.
All right. Perfect. And then we have what I do. See, still learning.
Still learning. That's good.
All good, man. Still learning.
This is great.
Where you said you're getting tips now too. So
thanks for tuning in.
This is great, man.
Yeah. Exactly. Al, let me come back to you because you said something about starting in your closet and dropping your mic. At what point where you said, okay, it's time for me to get some gear? It's time for me to get some more gear in terms of expanding this, or reaching out to someone like a Ben and say, because sometimes as men, we get prideful with our stuff and like, I'm not talking to Will,
I kind of knew maybe by the second episode because like I said, I was doing everything from my iPad, and the only other computer I had was a Surface Pro 3. My Surface Pro 3, as you know, technology usually goes out of date. Maybe like after 2 or 3 years. And so my Surface Pro 3 was out of space, was moving very slow. So like I said, I was doing everything on the iPad. And I'm like, man, I really need to go figure out, I can't be just trying to always rig this. If I'm going to take this show to a different level, to have the best quality, I need to update the technology. Even in some of my episodes, I don't know if y'all remember the early days, even though I'm in my closet, I live near railroad tracks. So there were nights without I'm recording, you can hear the choo-choo train coming through. And I'm like, oh gosh, like, man, I cannot believe the choo-choo train is literally on my sound right now.
Junction said wants to be on the show.
Yeah, the function wanted to be on the show, be at it. Even some of the interviews, like when we did some of the shows, man, I remember I had to either Ben or myself had to mute it because you had two trains crossing back and forth at the same time. So I just had to, I was like, okay, I had to, work to that point, understand the passion. Okay, this is, even though I'm sharing my passion, I'm enjoying this, I want to bring out quality. Each and every one of us wants to have quality and bring the best to our shows, and that's what it's about, being in the kingdom. If we want to go take it there for just a moment, man, you want to bring the best. You don't want to do nothing. You're saying that you're part of the kingdom, but you're doing something half, or your topics and thoughts are incomplete. Mm-hmm. So I'm like, okay, I got this little mic, but I want to take it to a different level. And I always had that thought. I saw people, just between Ben and look and just researching other podcasts, I said, okay, I got to. I'm going to get this technology. I'm going to, and it's going to be better every time. I just can't just be settling for the ums and the ands. I'm in Toastmasters right now because I want to be a better speaker not only when I speak on the microphone, but also out in the community. So just those little things and seeing your peers, where they've come from, where they've started at, that inspired me. I said, I don't want to just stay where I'm at. I want to keep growing.
Okay. Hey, man. Hey, that is powerful to say that you started in a closet, so now you're in a room of Toastmasters.
Yeah,
that's powerful. That is powerful that you would let your passion take you that far. Gentlemen, what are some of the mics that you would give as a recommendation? Let's just go around, the panel here that you guys are using and say first-time podcasters should consider. Certainly there is our iPhones and our smartphones, but an individual say, I want to take it to the next level. What's some good recommendations on mics?
The Yeti. I think
I can start. Like I got a mic here. Let me see. This one, my barber sold me this one. This is a blue mic that you can use to plug into your computer. Now, if you're somebody who does like me, I started with an iPad, but I do a lot of, I was thinking about traveling. I don't know if y'all can see this, the Samsung mic. Mm-hmm. And this is what I use for some of my first episodes. And I just hooked it up to my iPad, or you can hook it up to your computer, and you can use it. You can use that. It's called Samsung. I think it was like $30 on Amazon. You also, if you want to. You can also use your earbuds. I have several different earbuds that I have. I got a collection of stuff. So that's some of the things, some of the microphones that I've used.
Yeah,
okay.
I got the Yeti.
Mm-hmm.
That's the one.
Yeah. We all.
Yeah. This is the one.
That's the one.
Yeah, this is the one.
Cheers to the mics. Cheers. Yeah.
This is the one I use for the live shows that I do usually, and then the ones for Zoom I use something like this. Mm-hmm. But yeah, or like you said, earbuds. I think those are good. There's a lot of different ones, but the Yeti mic is a real good one.
Yeah, and the thing is, it's USB. So there's different mics where they're USB, which is going to connect directly to your computer, and there's some where you have to plug it into a mixer. So that's kind of the next level that I'm wanting to go to is with the mixer, which once I get into my house, that'll be that focus because I have a whole room for all of that and it'll be all set up. But Yeti is a very great mic because you can plug it in with your USB to your computer, and it's simple. That's it. It's done. The next step up, it's a mic called Shure. Probably I could be saying that wrong. SHURE.
Yes,
that mic.
That's right.
Yeah, you see that mic. You see you see professionals using that type of mic. Artists, podcasters, the sound is crisp. They have that in a USB form and in a mixer type form. So that's kind of the next step that I'm going into. But this Yeti has been good to me.
Right, that's your workhorse, right? Just like my
been good for the past 4 years.
ATR Technica.
Yeah. I remember Ben. I remember he recommended the Yeti when we were talking and everything, because I was just using, just like I said, headphones or earbuds, and it's good quality, but like you say, you want to take it to the next level. Yeah, he's like, he probably want to get a Yeti, so he helped me hook it up and do all the things, and so yeah, when I get to my house now, because I'm in an apartment too, and but a room, I'm gonna try to, like I said, get that mixer and really get some crisp sound, more crisp sound. But the Yeti's great sound.
Yeah, Yeti, get at us for some sponsor deals.
Yeah, okay? Hey, we need it.
Yeah,
they got an affiliate program. I need to look that up, bro.
Hey, look, and that's a good segue in terms of even when you get into podcasting and YouTube, learning about affiliate marketing and affiliate programs. None of these mics are sponsored by the Huddle, but we're giving you guys free plugs. So these are podcasting shows you can look up, like Will Walker and BS3 Radio, Real Deal, my man Al Hygh. So hey, sponsors who want to get out some free brand deals, check out the Huddle here. I got some guys for you.
That's about them numbers. That when you're dealing with affiliate programs, that's about your numbers. You can any podcaster can get an affiliate program, but it becomes about your numbers then.
Okay.
You really got to have some astronomical numbers for them to say, okay, yeah, you can go ahead and use us on your podcast. So but you can join any affiliate program. I mean, it's a lot of them out there. You just got to be careful with how much you're paying them and what you're getting back.
Mm-hmm.
That's the main thing.
That's real.
Okay. Anyone else want to add what Will was talking about? Because he just walked right into the next question.
I've been in plenty of them. Lyft started one. I was in that. I was in even Spreaker. Spreaker had an affiliate program I reached out to them about. The one thing I'll say is you have to push that thing to the ceiling, because if you just send it out on social media,
it's a wrap.
This is me just expecting somebody will see it. Somebody, nobody's gonna see it. You have to send that to people that you know. That's what I started doing. Hey, if you're gonna start a podcast, go through Spreaker. Now I'm doing BS3 Radio, so I'm no longer gonna be doing the Spreaker affiliate program. But there's like Will said, there's a lot of avenues out there where you can do it. It's just a matter of will you get out of it what you think you're going to get out of it, or is it just going to be something that you want to kind of get into? I'm in this Amazon. Amazon has a thing where they do that. I put that on the website. I've had one person, and that was a family member. But hey, either it is what it is. You get, sometimes you don't get as much out of it as you want, but I think you just got to continue to work at it. But the affiliate program is definitely a great thing. It's just a matter of if you have the fan base of people that are going to actually participate in it.
Okay.
I agree with that because when I was on Blog Talk and I was on another network when I was writing for them and then had my own show on there, it was Blog Talk was trying to do the same thing, and they was trying to say, but you got to keep pushing at it. You got to keep pushing at it. If you wasn't, like Will said, if you didn't get those numbers, they're not going to see it. They're going to be like, we're going to move on to something else. But if you keep at it, like Ben said, you keep at it, your numbers will keep rising, keep climbing, and then you might be able to get into one of those affiliate programs. But it's tough. I mean, just to keep it real, it's real tough to do. But if you're passionate about it and you keep at it, you could actually, you can get into these affiliate programs. It's almost like a radio station when they got to have those affiliate. They look at those numbers too. And if you're in that type of market, even like big cities, like I'm in Philadelphia, but if you're like LA, New York, anything like that, if you're in those type of markets and you don't get that, like those numbers up, those affiliates will be like, nah, we're going to pull that rug right from you. And that's, and then they were like, oh, what happened? But you're not pushing those numbers. You won't be able to get that, those affiliates coming on. But I think you said, if you're passionate, just keep pushing that and then it'll grow from there.
Can I add something real quick, Walter?
Sure, go ahead.
Ben and Courtney mentioned something about family members on Facebook and them not doing ad impressions. That's why I pretty much blocked most of my family members on Facebook from listening to my show, because they were skewing my numbers. And I realized
Oh, okay. Well, talk about that. Talk about you want to get
so
real organic growth, but really,
right, but I didn't want them. I wanted it's about sports. So what I did was I joined Facebook groups, and I found people that were like sports minded like me, that were fanatics. Because see, family will fool you. They'll listen, or they'll start listening, and then you'll get the number, but it's not really organic. It's not real. Because like Ben said, when he started out, he did a certain number. I did a certain number, and then I noticed that it was going down. But that was because my family was listening, and then it was like, "Oh, that's just Will Show." So it stopped. It stopped, and then so I said, "You know what? I'm gonna block my family from listening." Now that didn't go over well with some of them because after a while they was like, "What happened to the show?" I was like, "I still do the show. I just know that you're not really paying attention, and I want to grow the show, so I need fanatics. I need sports fanatics." So that's why I got out of the affiliate program, because my family was skewing my numbers, and they confused me because I was like, "How in the world am I not getting the impressions, but I'm getting this number?" Well, they weren't really interacting with the show. So that's why I got out the affiliate program. And then once I started doing the groups on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook, and even maybe paying for some paid promotion here and there, I started to notice that the interaction started to happen. Now, Spreaker will fool you also, because you can get 5 point whatever thousand listeners, and they'll get your ad impression of $2. You like, what? You know, that hurts, but you don't understand. It takes a lot of understanding of what they're considering in the actual impression. How many minutes are they considering? So it's a lot to go with it. So I would tell anyone, if you're going to get into it and you think you're going into revenue sharing, that's what Spreaker calls, that's what Blog Talk called it when I was with them. You got to understand, just because your number may say a certain thing, they're considering it as ad impression. I would tell anybody, if you're going to do Spreaker, put your ad at the beginning. Do 5 minutes of your show and put your ad right there, because the average listener to my show was 10 minutes. So I wanted to split it in half of what the average was, because that way I would get the impression. And even then, off of 5,000, I was only getting $9. I was like, wait a second. You're telling me I'm not getting nothing out of this? So that's when I jumped out of the money revenue sharing program. So that's some advice I'd tell anybody. Make sure, if you're going to pay situation like Spreaker or Blog Talk or Podbean, don't fall for it. Don't let them tell you that you're going to make this amount of money from sharing with revenue sharing, because it doesn't work that way. They consider them ad impression. Now they're making a lot of money.
They're making bukus.
They're making buku money because they're adding the ad to your show. See, if you do your own and you can copyright it, that's another thing. If you do it yourself and you own it, you may get some from. That's why I want to do my own podcasting site, my own podcast hosting site, because I'm noticing that Spreaker's making a killing. Anchor is too. They're making money. And although Anchor is free, but the ad revenue that they're generating, that is huge. So that'd be my advice.
And I want to piggyback off of that. Spreaker, early on in the Spreaker days, we're all on Spreaker. Like you could get listens if somebody just push play. Right. So people got into this game where they say, hey, just push play, for a couple seconds. Well, they cut that out. So you have to listen for at least a minute. So I seen, even on BSC radio, I seen listens go from a certain number to like half or below that. And that's how I realized people aren't truly listening. They're pushing play to show support. Like they're not listening to, if they're not listening to beyond a minute, like, come on, like that's nothing. Like we do that in walking down the stairs to get to our car. Exactly. So Spreaker figured out to say, like, we want you to get your exact correct number of listens. And at first I was upset because I was like, that's messing with my numbers. But then I realized, like, no, these are true people that are truly listening. The other thing I'm gonna say to that is with the ads, I started off doing that with my show with BSC Radio, and then I realized, like, I'm annoyed when I hear an ad at the beginning. So why would I put that on the shows? Why would I do that? So I'm like, my initial thing was, at first it was like, let's put the ad because we can get money, we can kind of split it up. It really, first of all, it wasn't a lot of money, and then second of all, if I'm annoyed by ads, like that means the listeners are annoyed by ads. So I don't put any ads on there. Now that's your choice. I'm not knocking anybody that does it, but I'm just to say I want people to hear the show. That's what I want you to hear. As soon as you get in there, hear the meat of what we're doing. Get that intro, get the show, and that's it. Like the ad, especially if it's a minute. There's some shows where the ads a minute long. I'm gone. Peace. I'm gonna find somebody else's show to listen to. That's just what it is. So why would I do that to somebody else?
Right. And just to add on what Will said too, like he said, if I'm putting 5,000 downloads, I should be getting paid something on that. Like you're looking at that. I mean, that's huge numbers. I mean, that's huge numbers just period. If I get 5,000 downloads, it's like I'm only getting like just $2. It's like, come on, like you said, those numbers do get skewered sometimes. And like Ben said, if those ads, 10-second ad. That's all you need. It's just 10-second ad because it's like I said, the attention span of fans and people. Just with us, attention span. We look at something for 30 seconds and it doesn't catch us our eye. They're out of there. So that messes up the downloads itself. And then even a minute or 2 minutes. Like you said, we just want some people to say, okay, I'll listen to you for like 10 minutes because even when I'm listening, sometimes when I listen to podcasts. I'll listen to something I really want to listen to. I'll listen to it for about 5-10 minutes. If it doesn't catch my attention, I'm out of there. I'm going somewhere else. So like you said, that kind of messes up the numbers too. So you trying to get a podcast, you want everybody to listen to the at least majority of it. If you have a half-hour podcast, you want to at least have them listen to it for at least 15-20 minutes. And then they're like, okay, I got a lot out of this. I can go to the next podcast. I can go to this one. I can go to that one. But yeah, it's all about that attention span. If that ad is like 2-3 minutes, I don't like commercials anyway. Sorry, I just don't. I know it pays the bills and it pays for podcasting and everything else. But those commercials sometimes they be too long. They're like 2-3 minutes. You're like, nah, they're ad, like Ben said, if it's an ad that don't catch me in 10-15 seconds, I'm cutting it off. So.
Yeah. And then two other things I want to say to that.
Sure.
If you don't mind walking. Number one, that's why YouTube started YouTube Shorts. If you're not familiar with that, YouTube Shorts is kind of in line with TikTok. TikTok blew up. YouTube said, okay, we're gonna do something similar where it has to be vertical, and if it's less than a minute. I found out that YouTube Shorts can give you like there's videos that's like 15 seconds that's got 30,000 views. Now,
and you can't skip them though.
You can't skip it. But the reason why I'm bringing that up is because attention spans, again, like YouTube figured out, people aren't watching hour-long videos unless it's something they're extremely interested in. So let's provide another way to kind of help build up the creators on YouTube. That's gotten me a lot of views. Once I kind of figured out that hey, this is something that actually works, I use that in between uploading longer videos. And hopefully that kind of mixes in. The other thing I'm going to say is it's like bringing video games to GameStop and trading it in. You got 200 games, and they're like, here's $20. That don't add up.
Man, I remember when I experienced
that don't add up at all. That's exactly what this revenuing is. Yeah, that's exactly what it is.
I pay $50 per game for this.
Exactly.
And then you're giving me, like you said, 200 games, you give me $20. I'll keep it.
And they don't even open them all. They're like, it's fine.
They don't even look at the games in the kits anymore.
Wow. Hey, I know I'm getting great value out of this. If you're getting great value out of this, in the chat, in the comment section, do hashtag value and even for the replay. I know you're gonna get great value out of this. So give me a hashtag value. If you're watching me on YouTube, watching us on YouTube, just drop down in the comment section and just let us know where you're watching us from. And also, if you haven't had an opportunity to subscribe to this YouTube channel, we want to encourage you to subscribe and to share this video, this live stream, to people you know who are podcasting. Because, as YouTubers, we try to encourage one another. And I think just having these guys on is going to encourage a lot of individuals who are podcasting. And so, let's talk about editing, Will. Editing, I remember when I had to first edit my first YouTube video through iMovie. I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm a new podcaster. What are some of the editing tools should I be looking at to help me to be able to edit this?
Odyssey. That's the number one. If you're recording, that's numero uno. It is easy, it's simple, it's not that hard. That's the best one you can do. Now, Spreaker allows you, if you use Spreaker, they will allow you to go in and edit your podcast if you pre-record. If you do it live, it's a wrap. That's what it is. It's out there. There's nothing else you can do about that. But if you're doing Spreaker, Odyssey will help you. There's some online tools, but I would tell you, download a particular software program to whatever computer, laptop, iPad you're using. That way you can control it, and you'll get to understand down to I think a tenth of a second or a hundredth of a second, and you would understand the content. Because if you're not careful, you'll click, 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 click when you're editing, and people can catch that. Especially people who are podcasters like myself. I can catch when the edit happened. I'd be like, oh, there's the click. So you have to be really careful with it, trying to make it as smooth of a transition as you want to. But with Odyssey, also, you can get that underlining music on that next line, and it won't disrupt. It won't be too loud. You can control the audio level and everything like that. So that's the best one. Now, there are some more updated ones, but if you are a beginner, they're a little bit more complicated. So I would say if you're a beginner, go with Odyssey, and you will definitely be able to edit. You'll be able to edit your, you'll be able to add an intro, outro, underline music, and also your volume. And you can actually control the bass volume or the noise level. There's so many different things that you can control, but that's the main thing, is be simple. Go simple first, because if you go simple, you'll be able to catch it, and then you'll be able to master it. It just takes time to play with it, but editing is key. And trust me, as a podcaster, I catch them clicks. I'd be like, oh, there's the edit. So yeah.
Oh, okay. So I'm gonna remember when I'm editing my YouTube videos, and then make sure you're. Oh, you know? Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, I know, but I don't say anything because I understand what you're doing and I get it. You know what I'm saying? So it's not for me to critique you on it. It's really hard for someone to give you a critique of something when you're doing your best that you can. Yeah. It's kind of hard to accept sometimes. Although we're friends, you wouldn't want me to keep telling you, hey man, I know when the click happened. You'd be like, well, of course, you know, you're a podcaster. You know, so it's not for me to critique you every single time. And plus, it's not choppy. It's just that I can hear it because I know, and that's all.
Okay. And Courtney, any advantages from a free to a paid version of editing that new podcasters should be aware of?
Yeah, because like Will, I agree with him. Like Odyssey is probably the best one. Like I said, I do a lot of lately I've been doing a lot of my podcasts on Zoom. So once I do Zoom pre-recorded, I got a program on my laptop, which it was automatically in there, and I can do trimming. I can do all these things. And I think that's a very easy way to do it too. That's a different way too. So you can trim it. Like if you have like an intro, like you said, if your intro, you're saying, the intro was okay, I can just trim that out of there and then use the rest of the podcast and everything too. So I think it's a going out. If you get those paid ones, as you said, I think, they'll give you better quality, and then they'll have more tools and things like that. But I think you start, like I said, if you are going to start a podcast, start simple. You start maybe with the ones that comes with your laptop, or you download some of these free ones. And then you just kind of play around with it, play around with the trimming, play around with you can do the lighting. You can do a lot of different things with those free ones too. But the paid ones, that's the more advanced. If you get to that level, then you really will have a more professional look on video and editing and things like that.
Okay, perfect. Anyone else want to add on that topic of editing?
I'm going to recommend an editing software that I've used. If you're an Apple person, check out an app called Twisted Wave. And so what I would do is I would record my show in this other app called Boss Jack Jr. And then from there, upload to Twisted Wave and do my editing in Twisted Wave. It did take me a while to understand the editing part because certain words and certain things would link up. I mean, it took a little bit to get an understanding of it. It is a learning curve with it. But once you get past that learning curve, you'll be okay. Another place to create, which I'm still learning, is Audacity. Because I just got my laptop, so I'm trying to understand Audacity. I think the majority, everybody on the panel uses Audacity. So I'm a big Apple head, so kind of leaving Apple and and switching to that Windows Android life is a whole new operation for me. But
get on that Team Android, man. Get on that Team Android. Come on, come on, Team Android, man.
I want you to come over to the dark side.
And were you done, Al? I'm done.
Yeah, go ahead.
Audacity again. I agree. So a couple of things. I do live. I despise editing. Okay, I really don't like doing it. To me, it's just too much detail. I rather like spend my time doing something else. But I have used Audacity, recording commercials, doing different things. So yes, that is probably the best one. And I'll say this. Getting into this, and I'm one of those people, I don't know if you want to call it cheap or frugal, but I try not to spend money on things. I always try to find the free route, because there's always most of the time there's a route to find it. It's just not, you may have to do a little bit more looking, but I try not to like spend money on monthly subscriptions and all this other stuff, because there's a different way to do it. So Audacity is one. OpenShot is one that I use for videos. I found that when I started getting into YouTubing, which that's free. You can add intros, you can add different videos and screenshots and stuff like that. But I would encourage people to research first. Don't just get into it and say, "Oh, this is great. It's $100 a year." Yeah, I understand that, but try to find ways where you're able to do this, and it gives you limited cost. Because if you start spending monthly money over and over and over again, and then you're like, "Oh, I'm not really getting the results out of it," like it's going to result in a burnout. So just kind of pace yourself. It's always good to progress and to increase and to to take your thing to the next level. But always look at and research it. Like StreamYard, there was people that have been on it for months, and I was like, I'm just not about it yet. And I had to, like, for me, it took me a minute to understand it and like, okay, what is it? Like, how much is it going to cost? That's what I'm always looking for. What is the cost? Like, don't give me this whole promotion about what it is. How much does it cost? And I'll see if it equals up to what to what I can do. Now I understand that it is a great platform to use. So
yes,
I would go about that. Just research it, look at it, see how much things cost. Don't get into just dumping loads of money into it, because it can make you frustrated in the long run.
Definitely. Hey, you're getting some great content off this show. I know you're like, Brother Walt, I'm looking for some motivational purpose and potential. Yeah, but listen to what these gentlemen are saying and apply it to your area of interest or expertise. Maybe it's not podcasting. Maybe it's working with youth. Maybe it's working in prison ministry. But these gentlemen have shared a lot of tips and tools on being able to get to the next level. And Ben and Courtney, you guys touched on this about burnout. So I realize I didn't put this on the sheet for the questions, but share from your own personal experience, if you feel free, any one of you on the panel, on how you overcame burnout, because burnout is very real in the YouTube world, and I'm quite sure it's very real in the podcasting world as well. So, Courtney, Ben, Al, Will.
Yeah, I'll start.
Go ahead, Courtney.
I mean, I think that started in 2014. Was doing it once a week, so it was like just every Saturday. But did it for all those years, for like 4 years straight, and it was just like, okay, am I podcast, is it getting to the next level that I wanted to get to, or is it getting to a level that I think it should have been, or whatever? And you just be like, okay, I've talked about everything, and it's not just sports related. We talked about life, we talked about entertainment, politics, social injustice issues, things like that. And you're like, okay, I'm just done. I'm just all talked out. It's like I'm just all talked out. You think for some people that love to talk, you're like, they don't got nothing else to talk about anymore. But,
right?
But you're just like, okay, I just want to kind of just relax. I want to just sit back, and it was just burnt out. And I kind of like said, okay, let me just sit back and not do anything. I'm just going to listen to other people's podcasts. But then you start listening to other people's podcasts and you're enjoying it. And then you're like, man, I do miss this space. I do miss being in this space. I had this space, so why not do it again and try to do it again? So yeah, the burnout is definitely real, especially now in a pandemic. You might be just get burnt out just from that if you're talking about that or anything like that. So I think it was more just overcoming of having people in your corner that's going to push you and motivate you. So my wife was my biggest supporter. It still is my biggest supporter. And she pushed me and said, you're so passionate about sports and talking about all types of sports. You've done it. So why don't you do it again? So I got to give her all the utmost credit for pushing me into that. And then, like I said, giving Ben the credit too for just talking with me and say, man, you love being on the show, because I was always in his chat room every time, and I'm not doing any podcasts anymore. So it's like, you're like, yeah, let's just try to do it. He's like, you can just do it once a week. Now I'm doing shows 3-4 times a week now. So I just hope I don't get burnt out again. But if I do, I take breaks now. I think that's another thing that that is a good tip too. Take breaks. Like, you're doing this. I mean, we're doing it. We're doing it for free, basically, for the most part now. We want to get paid for it. But if you're doing it for free, you're like, well, I can just put something out at 3:00 in the afternoon. I can put something out 8:00 at night, whatever it is. And then you take a couple of days off and you come back and say, okay, I'm going to do this again. So yeah, it's overcoming it. I think you didn't need to take breaks, and then you can overcome that burnout.
Yeah. I think breaks are definitely important. A lot of times for me, breaks are prompted by my family, and I have to respect that, because when you're somebody as passionate as I am, I'm like head down. I'm planning at the beginning of the week. I'm planning an episode or a whole week. I'm trying to figure out who I'm gonna have on the show. I'm like thinking about all this stuff, and like this week, I'm taking a break. I'm not doing a show, but there was something that I had to like really consider my family, because they again have to come first in all of this, and making sure that they're being considered when I'm doing shows and doing all these things. But I think I did a show called the Weekend Wrap-Up Show. I did 200 episodes of it. I mean, I started off doing it at night, and then I did it like on my lunch break on Mondays for like an hour. I enjoyed doing it. I thought it was fun doing it. But there was like, I would research stuff from the weekend. So I'm like taking notes on things, all the sports stuff that happened from the weekend. Then I talk about it, and I'm like, I like doing this. And then I had consistent people that listened. But I was like, I want to take this to the visual level, because one person, one of my friends that I went to church with, he was like, people love hearing you, but people want to see you. Like they want to see you now. That's the next step of podcasting. Audio podcasting is great, but honestly, that's old now. It's just like what Al said with computers. Like it only lasts for so long. So visual podcasting is like the new thing, because people want to see you. They want it to be interactive. Now you can still do your audio podcast as well. There's nothing wrong with that. But what I've learned is people want to see you. So I was doing that every single Monday, and I was like, I'm getting tired. I'm getting tired of doing it, just because, it's not necessarily bringing me the same joy that it was before. And you get the comments in there, and it was good. But so I took a break, and I'm no longer doing that show. The show, all the episodes are still on Spreaker, but I think the breaks are important. Also, I think stepping out of your comfort zone is important too. Like doing something that you may feel uncomfortable doing, but I guarantee you, the minute that you do it, you're going to be like, wow, this wasn't as hard as what I thought it was. And that could be like your next level in the podcasting. So I think those things are important, but burnout is real. But I think you have to realize kind of what's the next thing you want to do, because I don't think that necessarily means you're burnt out on podcasting. I mean, just you're burnt out on that particular platform. You're burnt out on that particular format, and you're ready for something different that brings you that spark and excitement again.
I just wanted to add to that. Like Ben brought up a good point about the love. Like if you lose the love for that, then that can just get you to be like, okay, I'm done. It's like in anything. If you just lose the love of something that you really did love to do before, but if you lose the love of it, I think that'll say, okay, that's a burnout too. Then you're just doing it just to do it, and it's not, the quality's not sounding right, or things that you're saying it's not what you really believe in. So yeah, I think breaks are important. family does come first, I think, in all things. So if family comes in, like my wife says, we're doing something this week, and I'm like, yeah, I better listen. And say, you know what? Let me do this. But another thing too, like Ben said, I think I always have I try to have as many guests as I can. Like I've done 3-4 hour shows before, and I would have all types of guests. Both of these brothers have been on my show before, and so I'll start from 2 weeks. I'll start 2 weeks ahead of who am I going to have on the show. That too can actually get burnt out too, because you're trying to find all these types of guests that will fit the show, and you're like, well, I don't know, I just, okay, I'm going to take a break. So I think, breaks are most important, I think, when you do this. So now I'll do I usually do my main show on Saturdays. So when I don't do it on Saturday, I'm just taking a break. I'm going to take a couple weeks, 2-3 weeks. Then Ben might shout out, I say, well, you haven't done a show in a while, just to check in, just to see how it's going. But I've done shows throughout the week. I've done I have these side shows on podcast, on Zoom or whatever throughout the week. So I'm just, for my main show, I'm just gonna take a couple of weeks off. Then I'll come back when I have some content or something that I want to talk about, or I have a guest that want to promote something. So breaks are definitely key. Yeah,
and one other thing, and Al, I'm sure you probably want to touch on this too. I think life happens. It's just real. I went from doing a show once a week, then it was bi-weekly, then it was once a month. Now it's back to weekly. Who knows what happens and changes in your life? That things are going to change. If you have a base of people that listen, they will listen whenever the episode is released and however it's released. So I think that's important too. Don't just get into a routine and forget that you have a life outside of this. You have family, you have God, you have time that you need to spend in other areas of your life, and you can't just zoom in just on that area. Even though as much as I like to, and I've done it, past time. So I just wanted to touch on that point.
Oh, that was great. Al, did you want to add anything additional too?
I keep hearing, I keep thinking about the why. You have to have the why. And we talked about from the beginning. If you're in it just to make gobs and gobs of money, then you're in it for the wrong reason. And so there's times like right now, I'm doing some soul searching and some rebranding and trying to put some things together with my platform. But I'm saying, okay, so what is my why? To educate, inform, and inspire while talking about sports. And you have to, and if you have that why, you might take a break for maybe 2 or 3 weeks, but you still have that desire and that goal to get back on the microphone and to speak. So you have to remember your why. It's okay to take a break. And one thing that I am learning is that with my audience is still try to find some way to still be engaged with them, even if I'm not on the microphone, podcasting every week. Maybe, shoot a message out through Facebook, social media, Instagram, like a 1 minute, check in. Hey, I just want to check in with y'all to see hello, hope all is well, And so I'm learning ways to create where I might not be on the mic this week, but I will, engage with you all for 1 minute just to let you know certain sports stories in 1 minute here, or just different ways to engage. And it's okay to take breaks. One of my mentors, he did his show for 5 years straight. And he said, well, I'll be back on Monday night, March 22nd. Then he came back on his platform and said, I'm not coming back on right now because I've just put so much into it. And so, but he's found other ways to engage with us through different avenues of social media and just email blast. So it's other ways to get the message across. And it's okay to take breaks because life does happen. Things, the biggest thing probably with everybody on this panel, we've had the issue of the pandemic. We've sat at home and we've gone to work and we don't know, what's going on with the country. Things have happened. So that's huge to deal with. And that's huge to digest. So all those different things, but more of the story, it's okay to break. It's okay as long as your base is hey, this is what's going on with me. I'm doing all right. And just being honest, this life happened. Family came first. Children came first. I needed something to eat. I had to take a nap. I was asleep. I was trying to record, but I was tired. I needed
Right.
That's real.
I work a full-time job. I myself, I work overnights on Saturdays and Sundays now officially. I'm going in from 6 p.m. to almost 6 a.m. in the morning, Saturdays and Sundays. So it's, even though, man, it can be crazy at times.
Yeah, take a lot out of you.
Yeah, it does.
Hey, I'm getting great value out of this. I'm not going to even ask you. I'm telling you, I'm getting great value out of this. I'm getting great. And you better believe I'm going to put hashtag in the comment section. Let me ask you guys this final question. What are the one or three things that you wish you knew before you started podcasting? I see this question a lot in the YouTube circle. What was be something that you wish you knew before you began? So let me start with Ben and Courtney, and then we'll wrap it up with Al.
Well, what I wish I knew, man, that is a really good question.
I'm trying, man. I'm trying with these questions. I've been watching my man Don Lennon and Joshua Johnson in this. Gotta learn how to ask the right questions. Right, so I study other people.
I wish that I knew about StreamYard. Number one, I will say that. Now it probably didn't exist at that point, but that's an amazing platform that you can do so many different things with. Also, I wish I'd just known about podcasting earlier, just in general. Like I knew about it, and a lot of times I go back and think, like, if I would have picked this up like in college, like imagine how far or how much I could have gained. But I try not to go backwards because it's about moving forwards and what people are you touching, while you're going through it. So, I wish I had more. I guess more know that I wish I could see in the future and see this is what it was going to be. So I don't know if that answered the question, but you got me on that one.
Right. All right,
you got me on that one.
Courtney?
Yeah, this is a good question, man. I'm with you too, Walter. I love to kind of like mold those questions like that, try to be a better interviewer and things like that. But what I knew from back then, it's a really good question. I think one of the things when was doing this, like you said, I wish I was doing this earlier too. I wish I would have just took that. Everybody, a lot of people in my circle would say, man, you should have been in radio, you should have been in this, because you've always had the passion for it. And I wish I would have known, like I knew about podcasting back then. Because I remember when Bill Simmons, when he was back in the day, he had a podcast, I think back in maybe like 2009, 10 maybe. I think that's when podcasts was really hitting. I wish I would have known that and really jumped in then too. But another thing too, now that something I know now, that this type of passion or what we're doing podcasting, it's a marathon, not a sprint. And I think now that once I figured that out, it's like, okay, you could take your time, you could take your breaks, you could do this and do that. Before I was just all in, like Ben said, you put your head down, you're in, you're running, you're sprinting, you're just going. So now I wish I would have known back then. It is still a marathon back then than a sprint. I know it now, but back then I wish I would have known that it's a marathon, not a sprint. So I think that would be one of my main things, that yes, you could take your time and perfect that craft and not just go all in fast and furious in the beginning. You can still just slow it down and perfect your craft and really, really enjoy it. And there was times I didn't enjoy it, and now I really, really enjoyed doing this.
Okay. Well, so the question was why you took a break, because your sponsors and brand deals are calling you.
Had to pay those bills, right?
Pay those bills, make sure everything right in the house. I ain't mad at you.
Hey, I gotta sleep next to her, bro. Y'all cool, but y'all hard ankles. But anyway, go ahead. What's the
question? It's real. But tell us one or three things you wish you knew before you started podcasting.
Oh my man! Oh wow! I wish I knew about free services That was the main thing. I heard Ben mention that. Yeah, I wish I'd have been frugal like that. I started off website, affiliation programs, promotion. Man, I saw them first couple of numbers after them first couple of episodes, and I was like, man, I'm about to get rich.
I'm rich.
Let me make this website. Let me capitalize on this, and then it crashed. It crashed. I went to where it was just me, myself, and I. That was the 3 people listening. So it was rough. It was rough. So I wish I would have known about the free services. I wish I would have had a network like this where I could have bounced off with guys and say, hey, man, how's it going for you? I met Ben later. My first time meeting Courtney, and Al, I met just recently. I think it was late last year. So I didn't have that network where I can bounce off guys. There were not many guys that looked like me that did it, that I saw. So I wish I would have had that opportunity to have this type of network and say, hey, man, how's it going for you? What are you doing? What can I do to deal with this fact that I'm not getting the downloads, but I'm putting this promotion out there. Are you doing the same thing? I wish I'd have had that network. That's the main thing, because it was rough. That first month was great. And then I went gung-ho. I said, yep, I'm going to go ahead and do it because I got something. And then, boy, when football season dropped, it was over. It was, that put a strain on my relationship because I had so much passion and I spent so much time doing it. And it was like I spent time from when I got home from work, content. I'm going to try to make it this. I'm trying to get music. That was the other thing, paying for music. So, man, it was, and then trying to buy them ads, bro, on Facebook. That $100 a weekend add up.
Hey, look, to piggyback off of that real quick, I did that so many times, and I was like, this is like Facebook is just making money hand over fist. They're like, money goes straight into our pocket. We gonna put it out there, but it's just not gonna equal what you think. Like everybody out there, listen, I'm serious. It is not gonna equal what you think.
You better be organic.
Yeah,
you have to go organic. Get the people that listen to your show to share your content, and that's the only way it's going to grow. Because that Facebook ad stuff, I don't know how it works, but I know you'll grow a certain number, and then you'll look and you'll be like, you got 26 unfollowers. Well, what happened to the 27 I gained?
And that's just said, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, all of those. They, like you said, like Ben said, if you go into that thinking like you're not, you're paying a lot of money. You're paying more than what you're gonna get, and that those ads sometimes.
It's all about organic.
I'm sorry. I'll bring
I'm just saying it's about organic.
I think my biggest thing was I wish I would have started this in 2 years earlier when I had the idea, but I wish I wouldn't have had the fear and the fear of the unknown. And now, I'm glad, I was able to get into a network with a group of people to hear different, and then once you meet one person, you meet other people. And it's a lot of us, man, that's on Facebook and Instagram that I follow. So I think the biggest thing I wish I wouldn't have done was be a procrastinator and not procrastinate. Like when you get the idea, and not just because me, I'll do the research and then I get the planet and then I go run my mouth, say, I'm about to start this. I'm about to do it like this. I'm about to do that. I'm about to shake my head, be excited. And then, 6 months go by, 1 year go by. I have nothing to show for it.
Okay. Hey, he just dropped the mic. He dropped the mic. He dropped the mic. He dropped the mic. And so we began this show with your question. I want to start a podcast show, but I got questions. Well, these gentlemen have took their time out their schedule to answer your question. And I'm quite sure there's definitely going to be a part 2. This was just the beginner's part of you finding your voice. So we're going to have to ask these gentlemen to come back for the advanced level of podcasting, such as what guests to bring on. And when you have certain guests and they not clicking right, me and Will have kind of experienced that, when
I got stories.
There's stories. So let me give Ben the final, just to give you to whet your appetite on the advanced live huddle we're gonna do on podcasting?
Yeah, man. I've had times where guests didn't show up, and that was all I was talking about. I had 0 notes, and they didn't show up, and I'm like, okay, we're gonna let me wriggle around trying to find some papers. I mean, and then audio not good. That is the absolute worst. Audio not good, and then when you get into video, their video's not good. You're like, can you hear me? Can you hear me? Can you hear me?
That's that Teddy Riley. That's that Teddy Riley Wi-Fi.
Exactly. No, I can't hear you. Hang up. We will try this again another time. I mean, it gets and then I just learned look, mentally, I got to roll with it. If something goes wrong, completely wrong, I had the power go out one time. I was doing a show. I had to reboot, and then with anybody that's on Spreaker, you got to type in all these notes again.
Yep.
And then, so I mean, always be mentally prepared. Mm-hmm. That's the thing that could go wrong. And what are you gonna do? Now I'm highly upset when it happens. I'm not gonna lie, but you got to roll with it. You just got to figure out what you're gonna do.
Oh, I get petty. Bro. And I just had that situation last week. Walton on talking about. I sent out a bolo, and I had one particular dude just go in on me don't message me with this and all of this other stuff. And I was like, you've done it in the past. It's just it's no big deal. But the way he went in, I said, okay, I got a trick for you. So when I did the audio the next day, I made sure that I was going to make sure that was the part that I want to put out there, that you don't have to do it. You're not obligated to do it. But
that's who that was about, huh?
Yeah. I will get you. I will find a way to get even. But trust me, that not showing up or somebody giving you, a difficult time doing your interview. See, I'm good at cutting you off. Ex Walter, I'll cut. You know what? You ain't working. Don't worry about it. Yeah, you go ahead and go. That's why I got extra people here so we can have a conversation. So, but man, that's the toughest thing. That and that's not good content. That's not good radio or good podcasting for me. I don't want to get into no confrontation with anyone. That's not for me. I don't know. I know there's people that's some of my best shows, but it doesn't work for me because I'm not here to be confrontational. I'm just here to have a debate or a conversation. So.
I mean, are you guys good with time for about 15 more minutes? Especially Will. You good on time?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, okay, I'm already in trouble. So what else?
I'm already in the doghouse.
If I gotta send her a thank you card and a small gift, just send me the address in the instant messenger. We'll make sure
we're in the process of moving, and our movers haven't showed up yet. So we thought they were here. So that's what it was.
Okay.
Yeah.
So let me ask you this other question, gentlemen. Haters. Those haters. I'm gonna start with you, Will, first, because you do a segment that really opened my eyes about the Black Negro League, and you were sharing with me some of your admirers of your content. So I'm gonna start with you and go around the horn
on the Negro Leagues.
Because predominantly my audience is white. See, I just switched up and became, I ain't even gonna say pro-black. The Negro League celebration happened, and I decided I wasn't gonna do just one show. I was gonna do a whole year anniversary, and that bothered people. And the fact that it bothered them made me really want to give out more information. Then I added the HBCU segment. So I said, you know what? This is who I am. I'm black, which you can see, you can hear it when I speak, and I'm proud of my heritage. So if you don't like it and you hating on it, Walter knows my general response to any email I get or anything is thanks for listening.
I love it.
Yes. I'm not changing. And just a real quick story, guys, when I was getting ready to go to a FM station and they were getting ready to offer me a show, and the manager told me it does not sound quite as urban. But first he preferenced with, can I say something and can I be candid? He said, you're a little too urban. You sound too urban. So I said, you can be as candid as you want to, as long as you can receive it back. So I said, you know what? I may not pronounce things correctly, and I may say and is a lot and all those type of things. It might not come off quite as clean, but I ain't gonna never stop being black. That ain't changing. That's not changing. But with or without you, I still have enough of an audience. I'm not trying to reach millions of people. If it happens, I'll be happy about it. But I got a core base that appreciates my opinion, wants to hear my opinion, and I'm good with that. That's just the way I see it. So for me, haters, thanks for listening.
Mr. Al, your experience on the haters.
Well,
take as they say in church, take your time, preacher. Take your time.
Take your time.
I'm trying. I'll be honest with you all. I haven't seen yet my haters. I don't know where they are. Where I'm not trying to look for them, but my goal is this, and I try to keep this as simplified as possible. My message is not for everybody. My platform is not for everybody. You know, some people like McDonald's and Burger King and Wendy's, and some don't like this restaurant or that restaurant. Here, with the Casual Highlight brand, I'm only speaking a language for certain people. So I've learned that my language might not be your language, and you might want to learn my language. And there's some that'll try to don't like it. It is what it is. Look, if you don't like it and you just want to listen, hey, thank you for the listen. You know that adds more listens and different things of that nature, or viewership. If you look at a video on Instagram and YouTube, you know it helps with the algorithms. I thank you for helping with the algorithms. That's how I look at it. So the day I get it, you know, I'll deal with it accordingly. You know, I'm still young in the game. You know, I'm still, you know, I'm toddler. You know, I'm about a year and a half. You know, these gentlemen are 7, 8 years old. You know, they running around. You know, so I'm in Pampers right now. You know, type deal. So I still haven't seen it, but my mindset is look, this is what I'm serving. You like it? If you don't like it, leave it alone, you know. But thank you for the viewership if you want to listen, you know.
All right now. Courtney?
I'm gonna say just like Charles Barkley said, he says, if you don't like it, turn the channel. As simple as that. You know what I mean? Like you said, we know our core. Yeah, I've run into some people, they'll start making like slick comments, or, you know, there's trolling and things like that. I remember me and Ben, we were doing a show on his show, and that was a wild show, and we weren't expecting it, and they was just making some comments and trying to make some racial comments and things like that. So I'm like, okay, we have a mute button, we can cut people off.
Yeah, we can delete you.
We can delete you, you know, from that. You know, I know we got the cancel culture nowadays and everything too. So, but I'm thinking to myself, look, you know, I'm like, well, Will, we're black. We talk a certain way. We this is us. This is 100 authentic us, 100% authentic us. I'm not changing. Not going to change for anybody. And like I said, if you don't like it, you can just turn the channel. Like it's one thing. I'm going to still continue to push forward. I'm going to continue to still, you know, put my content out, and then I'm going to keep putting content out, and I'm going to keep flooding the masses. I'm going to keep going and doing everything until I decide or God decides to stop it. But if he says to stop it, then that's it. But other than that, if I have a voice and a platform, I'm going to continue to drive it, continue to do it. And, you know, so you have your core, you have your fans, and, you know, but the haters, they take the time to come and make a comment. That just helps our numbers. That's what it is. That helps the algorithm. Like Al said, that helps that number. So thank you. I appreciate you. I'm gonna keep going.
That's it.
Yeah.
Ben, any final words?
Yeah. I'll say I think I've had a lot of critiques. I think I've had a small amount of haters, but from the beginning of my show, I don't cuss. There was times where I played Christian music on there, and some people didn't like it. I mean, it's not that they said they didn't like it. It was just like, I don't listen to that kind of music, so I'm not gonna listen to this part. Or I used to interview Christian artists, and they was like, I'm not going to listen to this part. I'm like, that's fine. I'm still going to interview the person just because that don't mean it's going to change. But I have had people like, you could have been more black on this part. You could have been less. I mean, like that kind of stuff. which it's at the end of the day is my opinion. And when you're doing a live show, because like I said, a lot of my stuff is live. There's comments coming through, and I would try to like read the comments. Some comments I just couldn't read because they would either be profanity in it or it'll be something. If it was jabbed at me, I would take it and I would respond. I was like, look, this is my opinion. Like, it's not like that's the thing. We all don't have to agree. I don't understand that mindset. You don't have to agree. If I say something about LeBron James, you don't agree with that. Oh, well, like, what's the point of you typing your fingers for like 15 minutes to give me this long paragraph that I'm not going to read? And the other thing I'll say is, you know, I was listening to this show because, you know, we call it Black Spreaker, you know, because there's a lot of people that I know in different networks that do their show and stuff like that. So I was doing my show, this other guy was doing his, and somebody put in their comments like, hey, Ben is doing his show the same time as yours. And it was just like laugh out loud. So I kind of took that as a jab, but I was like, I mean, look, I'm still going to do, I used to be very like, well, this person's doing this show at this time and all that. I'm like besides BS3 Radio, I'm never going to do a show when they're doing a show. But outside of that realm, like I'm gonna do a show if you're doing a show or not. Like, and if we're not competing, I'm talking to my audience, you talking to yours. If they can join, oh well, like so what? But I think I have taken like critique, and I listen to that critique, and I see, is that something that I need to possibly change, or is that something that needs to go in one ear and go out the other ear? It just kind of depends on what is being said. So that's kind of my take. I don't think I've had very many like haters like come directly up to me or send me emails, but the comments on live shows get really, Courtney knows, they get really interesting because people, they want you to read what they're typing in. Yeah. But if I see a cuss word, I'm not gonna read it. That's just me. And that's who I am. Now YouTube has a whole different line of trolls.
Yes,
YouTube
they do.
takes trolls to the whole other level because you can't see them. This isn't Facebook. They could put Joe Smo as their name. You don't know who they are. There's plenty of people that come in and make comments. I don't know who they are. And I'm like, one was like, I'm the only person watching. I'm like, great, thank you. Like, more people will come in. I appreciate that. Now, so like I just roll with it now. I try not to take stuff extremely serious, and I try to make a joke out of it, and then I just roll with it.
All right, there you have it. There you have it. Question of the day. And all this great wealth and information you got on podcasting, are you going to push record and record your first show? Question of the day. Are you ready to push record and start your first show? Put that in the comment section. Put that in the chat section. And put the link of your show so we can encourage you. We can encourage you and be your first views. That's my commitment in putting this panel of the kings of podcasting together to encourage you to find your passion in podcasting. And we will go the next step further and click on your link and give you your first viewers. Hey, I want to thank you, gentlemen, for being a part of this part one of this discussion on podcasting. When this time is right for your schedule, I want to have you again for part two and getting into the advanced stuff with podcasting, like marketing, promotion, social media, because I'm quite sure all of that ties in when you want to try to promote the show. But again, I want to thank you all. And to my viewers on YouTube, I want to thank you again for indulging me and allowing me to share a new platform on how you can find your passion. And if you say, hey, this wasn't for me, but share it with someone you know. Share it with someone you know. And as we close out always encouraging you that many are the plans in a person's heart. Hold on, let me get the cue music. See, I'm ready to close out, and I don't have my cue music. Still learning here, gentlemen. Still learning. Okay, here we go. Get it right. Get it right. Well, was this church for you?
This was church, but you didn't have to tell us that because nobody would have known. Just roll with it. Yeah. No, I'm not talking about the church thing. I'm talking about your last little segment. You could have just kept talking until you found what you needed.
Gotcha. Yeah. Many are the plans in a person's heart, but it is the Lord's purpose that will prevail in your life. So have a great day. We're going to talk on the after show. So you be blessed and share this live stream.